How's it, YouTubers? Alright, so in this video we're gonna work on the deposit form. So remember, now we can create accounts, and then currently our accounts are on zero balance. So we're gonna work on the first form, which is the deposit form, where we can deposit into the account. Alright, so now the first thing we need to do is create another controller within here. Right, we're gonna say uh, transact controller. Okay, and then we annotate that as a controller, and then within here we're going to create a post mapping. All right, so here I'm going to also create a request mapping, and then this one is going to be uh, /transact, and then here we're going to name this as deposit. All right, okay, so here we're going to say public string, and then we're going to say deposit. Okay, all right, so the main thing we need within the deposit form is two things: the deposit amount and the account ID, right? So we're gonna say get request param. Let's just copy that name, which is deposit amount, right? And then here we'll say string deposit amount. I'm gonna come to the next line. We're gonna say request, and then this is gonna be the account ID. So we come back here. We're gonna make sure we copy that. Okay. Then we're gonna say string account ID. Okay. All right. Then the next thing we need to add is the HTTP session. Okay. And then the redirect attributes. Okay. So now, what do we need? Okay. So in the accounts repository, or actually before we do this, let me just return an empty string for now. All right. So before we get to that, here within the deposit, we need to loop through the accounts. So we're gonna say C. So remember, here within the dashboard, we are getting that value there. So we want to click on that and then come back here and say, in fact, we don't even need to say request scope. We can actually access it using this. But yeah, well, then, okay, let's try it and then let's see what it does. So I'm gonna say null, if not equal to null. Here we're gonna get the C for each loop. And then items will equal to that, and the variable will be, we'll just call it select account. Okay, okay, so now what we can do is we can copy this options element, and then here we're gonna say user accounts. Sorry, we're gonna take this. Sorry, it's the select account option, right? Dot account ID, right? And then here we'll display the name, right? So here we'll say, okay, so this should loop. It's gonna give us the account ID. That's the value that we're gonna get, and then here it should only display the name. So before we do anything else, let's just check and see if this is displaying accordingly. All right. By the way, make sure you have this tag within the. If you created this component the way I did, make sure you have um, this value as it is. I mean, sorry. The if you want to use the C tags, just make sure you have that at the top there. All right. So let's deploy this, and then let's see if it does show our accounts that are registered in our name. One moment for me, please. All right, the server is up. No errors so far. Okay, let's log in. Okay, so let's click on deposit. Okay, so it's now looping through our accounts and then it's displaying it there. So at least now we know that our for each loop is now working. So we can, since we only have two accounts, which is Sam's Bakery and Sam's Coffee Shop, it's only going to show those two. All right. So now let's just log out again because we have to stop the server. Okay, so we then have that. So transact controller, let's just make sure we set up that in our deposit form. So the action is going to be transact and then deposit. And then let's make this the method of post mapping. Sorry, I mean post map. I mean method is going to be post. Okay, so you get the deposit and then we're also going to get the user ID from there. Okay, so now in the transact controller, what do we need to do here? We need to say, we first need to check and see if there's no null values. So check. Okay, and then we need to get okay, here we're gonna say get current account balance. Okay, right, so in the accounts repository we need to create another method here. So here we're getting the total balance of all the accounts. So now here we need to get the balance of a specific account. So we're gonna say add query no, I'm just gonna copy this, typing it out, it's unnecessary. Right, so here we're gonna get the balance, right, where user ID equals that and account ID equals to um here account ID, right? All right. So here, okay, initially in the original project I had set it up to a double, but I encountered issues in terms of displaying accounts here. I mean on the dashboard. So I'm gonna use a double again, even though we've set them up as decimals, but I'm gonna use a double this time and say get um, get account balance, right? And then at param, then I'll say user ID, that's going to be an integer, and then um, account ID. Just going to make sure I copy it as it is, paste it there. And then also this is an integer, so we're going to say right. Okay, so here we're getting the account balance, right? All right, so now we're going to come back here. So let's start off by checking for null values. So if we're going to say deposit amount, if it is empty, we redirect from here. So we're going to say redirect attributes dot add flash attribute. We're going to say error, and then here we're going to say um, deposit amount cannot be empty. We don't need to stress about the account ID because that will definitely have within the, or actually, yeah, we can check for it, but in any case, actually, you know what, let's check for it because the user can submit the form without actually selecting which account they are performing the transaction from. All right, so here we're gonna say also account ID dot smt, depositing to, yeah, deposit amount or the account depositing to cannot be empty. I think that's a reasonable error message. And then here we're gonna say return uh, redirect, and then we're gonna say app and then dashboard. Okay, okay, and then here we're gonna get the user. So we're gonna say user, and then session dot get attribute, and then we're gonna say user. Okay, let's import this. Right. So now here, before we need to pass this into an integer. So we're gonna say int account ID will equal to integer dot pass int, and then we're gonna pass in that account ID, right? And then from there we can then say, or we need to auto, okay. So here we can then say user, oh, double current balance, and then that will equal to account repository dot get account balance. Then we're going to pass in the user ID and then the account ID. Okay, what else? Let me just think. All right, so okay, okay. What else? All right, so here we're gonna just check to see if the user is not entering a zero value. All right, so if deposit, wait. Oh yeah, by the way, we need to also change this into we're gonna set it to a double. So let's do this double um deposit, and then we'll say deposit amount. Okay, so if deposit amount value equals to 0, we then gonna redirect back here with an error. Okay, okay, so that will just redirect to the dashboard and display this error message. Okay, otherwise we can then continue to change the amount. So first thing we need to do is create another method within here. So then we're going to add the query. So here we're going to say add query, so here we say update accounts, right? So we're going to say set balance equal to we're going to say balance or new balance, right, where account ID equals to that account ID. So I'm setting it this way because we're going to use this quite a lot, right, to update the balance of whatever the account they are actioning. So right, so now we just need at param account ID. Okay, update accounts set balance equal to new balance where account ID equals that. Alright, so we also need to add the balance as well. So right, I'm gonna set it to a double now. If it gives us issues, we will then change, or we will explore as to which variables we can best use to set this up. But I do remember that when I first originally did this, I was using the double variable a lot. But then when I had to pull the total balance and display it on the dashboard, I was encountering issues. So in any case, let's just see what happens there. Okay, so now in the transact controller, we can then say all right, so the first thing we need to do is, let's see, double, we're going to say the current balance, right, plus the um, deposit amount value, right? That's going to be the new balance. And then here we're going to say um, account repository dot change. Let me change this. I put a capital C here. And then we're going to get the balance first, which is going to be new balance. And then the account ID is going to be that over there, which is this one here, right? So this is going to update the accounts and then insert the new balance within it. All right, so I'm doing it this way because obviously um, you don't want to delete the current balance. So you'll take whatever's there now and then um, add it. We'll take what the current balance is and then add the new value to that balance. And then when we update, at least we don't lose the previous value. And so yeah, in any case, I think this should be it. So let's see, transact account ID. All right, here we'll just say, all right, then we can redirect back to the dashboard here. All right, here it's going to be success. Right, whatever though. Okay, so let's see. We're checking if the strings are not empty. We get the user. We pass the account. Same thing here. And then here we're going to check the balance to see we get the current balance. And then we're also going to check and see if the what you call it, the user is not inserting the a zero amount. If otherwise, we're going to just take. In fact, let me put this here. Right, makes much more sense. All right, so I think we can test it out. Let's see. I don't know if I'm missing anything, but whatever, we'll see what errors display within the console. All right, I'm gonna pause the video again and we'll test once it's back up. All right, guys, the server's back. So far, no errors. Right, let's log in. Okay, so I'm gonna say transact, deposit. First, before I let me submit the form and see what it does. All right, so deposit amount or account depositing to cannot be empty. So at least we're getting that error. And then let's say we place in 0, right? Let's select the account and say deposit. All right, deposit amount cannot be of 0 or 0 value, right? So that check is working. So deposit, let's see if it updates the account. Put $1,000 in Sam's Bakery and say deposit. Okay, amount deposited successfully. So as you can see, um, the total balance is now adjusted. And then if we check, we have $1,000 in there. Obviously, this one is going to be 0 because we didn't deposit into that one. So let's try that one. Say deposit, and then we can say 1,200 coffee shop deposit. All right, so now as you can see, the total sum of all the accounts is also displaying accordingly. And then if we check here, we have 1,200 within that account, and then we have $1,000 within that account. So all right, so it looks like depositing money within our Abala account is now working accordingly. So I think, yeah, I think we've done everything that we needed to do. Now, yeah, our checks are working. We checks whether or not we are inserting null values there. Here we're checking for 0 values, and then if everything is correctly, all it does, it just, oh yeah, the one last check is to check and see if currently, as you can see, we have $1,000 within here. So what we then need to do is let's try again to deposit within that amount. I mean, within that account, let's put in $300 within the first one, Sam's Bakery, and then deposit. All right. Now we have 2.5. It's now 1,300. So as you can see, um, it's then now increasing the amount instead of just maybe changing the amount to $300 or something like that. So at least now we can deposit amounts into the accounts and so forth. All right, so the next form that we should work, this was the deposit one, right? So the next form I think we can work on is, let me see, we have payment transfer. We can work on transfer. I think this one should be easy enough because we selecting from one account to another. So yeah, I think in the next video we'll work on the transfer form and then see if we can transfer money between the two accounts and so forth. Alright guys, so that's it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Again, if you haven't done so already, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you guys within the next video. Cheers for now.